Hey there, everybody. Michael Bolton III here with Lazarus Telraven. We're about to bring you Exodus Dot versus Dead Terrorist. We got a great matchup for you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these teams?
All right, we got a kiting drone boat team versus a ECM-based team. One important thing to note is the drones and auto aggression isn't really as effective whenever you're fielding in a the ECM is not as effective when you're fighting against a drone team. But we have a Hugin, 3 Gilas, 2 Ishtars are the main ships components of the Exodus team. So they don't have logistics ship. So if these Rooks are able to get some jams on this DPS and get some of these ships down, I think they will be sitting in a very good position. Because as you know, the Rooks and the ECM teams in general aren't high on DPS. But
yeah, I think if these Helas and these Ishtars, their drones auto-aggress the right way, this could go really poorly for Dead Terrorists really quickly. The Mollusk can't damn drones. The Oneros can't. The Rooks can't jam out, and jams are immediately coming down on the Helas and the Ishtars, so they cannot focus their drone fire. But we have a Rook already down in the structure, and he's gone.
Wow, that was a very quick Rook death. They are armor tanked. This Oneros just isn't able to get locks in time for that to save that first Rook. As you see, the second Rook starting to enter about 50% structure, or not structure, but armor. We get bouncer 2s on the field from the Gilas and Ishtars as they start to spread out across the field. They are doing a great job staying at range, yet the Hugin staying in front of the pack to try and get webs on any incoming frigates. They're going to try to get some of these ships down. The Rook is in about 10% armor. The Oneros rep cycles are hitting just in time as he might start bleeding structure shortly.
Yeah, I think this Oneros is having a lot of trouble keeping up this reps. They're just bouncing right around 20 or 30% armor, especially once these frigates start engaging the support of the Dead Terrorist team, especially those Mollusks. It's going to become very hard for them to keep up, especially the focused drone aggression of Helas and Ishtars that are able to lock.
Yeah, you're seeing all the jams being applied to the drone ships and the Hugin. So, I mean, this Rook here is starting to pull some reps back, so I don't think they are going to be able to take them down. They must have had a few jams hit successfully, but these frigates really are going to be an issue if they start going after these mollusks.
And there goes an Enyo for the Dead Terrorist team. Now, it's very important. These Enyos are a huge amount of the DPS for the Dead Terrorist team. The Proteus and the Enyos make up the vast majority of their damage. The Enyo probably does as much or more damage than those Rooks. And another Rook entering armor, we'll see if he gets reps in time.
Yeah, you see the Proteus is sort of making his way towards the middle of the Exodus team, the middle of their bouncer blob. They have all their sentries out in the middle of the field as they try to just stay away from being tackled. But these jams are being extremely effective, allowing them not to switch targets.
Another Rook is down. So as these jams come down, there is not only the damage going to be focused even better, but there is the secret background of the utility highs of these Helas and Ishtars that are suddenly going to come into play and do terrible, horrible things to the Dead Terrorist team. We have an Enyo dropping into low armor and damage starting to be applied to one of the last remaining Rooks.
Yeah, Exodus is doing really well staying out of range of these ships, and as they start getting more and more of this ECM off the field, they're going to see a lot more utility come from these Helas and Ishtars.
Yeah, Mollusk goes down. Now, this is a really tough team for Dead Terrorists to come up against. There's not even a logistics ship on the Exodus team for them to jam out to sort of mitigate the reps. All these ships are designed to tank by themselves, be self-sufficient. They're resistant to jamming. They're resistant to damping. This was pretty much a perfect counter. I would almost be surprised if Exodus didn't know what Dead Terrorists were bringing to this match.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like these ECM teams, on most occasions, they either do really well or they just spiral out of control after losing a few ships. You're seeing sort of a standstill right now as that Oneros is starting to get some reps on those assault frigates and keep them alive. But, I mean, they're running out of jams. You see the 2 Ishtars have no jams on them, just damps from mollusks. I really think that Exodus is going to pull this match out.
Yeah, I also think Exodus probably needs to give up on those Rooks because there's only 2 Rooks left. They're pre-locked to the Oneros. Unless they can push the Oneros out of rep range of those Rooks, they're not going to be able to take them down. I think they need to start focusing on the Oneros and just ignore the jams of those 2 Rooks.
Yeah, it really looks like that what they're trying to do is force the Oneros to switch reps and onto the frigates. That way they can try to alpha volley that Rook through armor.
I mean, another Mollusk falls.
Yep, so they're starting to lose frigates more and more as they get more E-War and webs being switched to the Oneros as he's just melting. He's being torn apart.
And the last Enyo drops, that's a huge problem for this team. That leaves the only real DPS on the Dead Terrorist team in that single Proteus.
Yeah, I mean, the Rooks have decent DPS. I mean, I think they're between 350 to 400 DPS from the Rooks, but, I mean, they're losing ships and more and more ships that they really need, and against this type of kite team, they can't afford to lose anything.
With the Oneros down, they're just going to drop like flies here. This is going to be really bad. I think that the Exodus team brought probably the best setup, or one of the best. I have trouble thinking of a better setup they could have brought against this heavy damp, heavy ECM team. There are so many teams that they could have brought that would have gotten own-zoned by 4 Rooks and 4 Mullis. But they just managed to have almost the perfect counter in these heroes.
Yeah, I mean, these drone, like I said, drone boats aren't affected as much by ECM as just a turret-based ship or a missile-based ship, just because you have the drone auto aggression.
Yeah, exactly. And they were also saved by the fact that all of their drones auto-aggressed on the right ships.
Yeah, I think that was more of a they were able to get locks just barely quick enough for those jams.
Just sneak in some locks. I agree. Now we see a Hilo taking some damage, but the Rook is going to fall into structure, and the last Rook falls. All they've got to do is take down the tank on this Proteus, and that will be the match.
Yeah, he is dying very quickly. They did a great job. They've kept these bouncers out the entire fight. I'm not sure what they could have done better. I mean, they could have tried to get something in the middle of that sentry blob, try to smart bomb those sentries, because a lot of times these Rooks will use some of those highs to fit sentries as the last ship dies for dead terrorists. Very solid victory for Exodus.
And that will be the match. We're going to send you back to CCB Soundwave and our experts in the studio.